What's up, Birds fans? Sean Harrigan here from the Eagles Nest podcast here. We're a little over an hour out from game time. Didn't have too much time today. Things are really hectic in the personal life. To sit down and do a full pregame, I'm out running a couple errands right now as well. So just going to do this quick little short pregame here while I have a few minutes here out on the road. So the Eagles taking on the Cincinnati Bengals here today. Again, it's a home game, quote unquote home game. No fans in the stands again. No real home field advantage to say. Both teams coming in here at 0-2, not really looking well. Bengals haven't been a good team in quite a long time now. They do have a seemingly promising future ahead of them with Joe Burrow, who's having a good start to his young NFL career. But, Carson Wentz needs to play like Carson Wentz has shown that he can play in the past. We're not going to let a rookie quarterback come in and pick us apart. After letting up 37 points last week on defense, they have to be ashamed of themselves. Jim Schwartz came out and he took all the blame. Something a good coach does, something that Doug doesn't really do a lot of himself. But, Jim Schwartz came out in his presser and said, he wasn't putting his guys in a good position to, make plays, and he took a lot of the brunt of everything. He also did call out some guys as well, but took the blame for them on top of it. So you're going to look to see, the defense just tighten up. Not letting these big plays. I want to see that defensive line starting to get home. You have these high-priced guys. You have Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, Javon Hargrave played last week. I don't even remember seeing him. So these guys need to start earning their paycheck real quick. You want to get a rookie quarterback off his game, scared, running for his life early and often, and that's really going to set the tone for the rest of the game. So you get to him early, start to get him rattled. I mean, that's just going to be the way the game goes the rest of the way. Miles Sanders coming back last week, had a really nice game, 90 yards, touchdown. We'll look to see more of him today. Bengals have a terrible run defense, so we'll see what Miles Sanders is able to do. And in terms of Carson, if I don't need him to go out and throw 3 touchdowns and 300 yards, but I don't want to see him with a single turnover. I don't want to see him making bad decisions. I want to see him, standing true in the pocket. If he's feeling that pressure, he needs to get himself out. Whether Doug's calling rollouts and bootlegs and things or not, he needs to have better pocket presence. Understand that if things are breaking down, he either needs to get rid of the ball or get out of the pocket. So if he can do that and get himself in a really good path to getting back to where he was playing in years past, it's going to start to silence a lot of the people that you hear calling into sports talk radio, bashing Carson, calling for his job, things like that. Nothing that he does today, honestly, is going to sway everybody back in his favor right away. But a game like today is a real big stepping stone for where he needs to get to in terms of getting back to being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Other than that, we're down Jalen Reagor now. He went out during the week. He has a UCL issue in his thumb, so he's going to be out for at least 3 weeks. He's on IR. Deontay Burnett is brought up off the practice squad to fill his spot. He came on late last year, and we went on that 4-game win streak to get into the playoffs when Carson was throwing the guys off the street. So we'll look to see if his speed can open up the playbook a little bit, spread the field a little bit, maybe get things open for the guys underneath. We didn't try to throw the ball downfield whatsoever last week, so I don't mind seeing a couple shots at least to see if you can make anything happen. But if you're not completing the passes, at least you're showing the threat that you're willing to try it. And that's what I really feel like Doug has been missing with his play calling, just not making attempts at being different to show that he's at least willing to be different, to keep the defense guessing and honest. When you're running your same base offense every time, the defenses are just going to sit on that all day long. They're knowing what's coming all day. whether that means more Jalen Hurts gadget plays coming in. Let's see what Doug can get creative with. Again, we're still waiting to see these speedy receivers motioning in the backfield and getting out of their formations and just trying new things. So I want to see some more of that today. I would like to obviously would like to see this team win today. I think they're going to. They're going to get off the schneid today. It might not be a convincing win. It might not be a blowout win, anything like that. I'm going to look for somewhere around 17 to 13, 2013. I think it'll be a really good game for both the offense and defense to kind of get in sync today and at least play marginally well. Can we get to that point? We'll get to the marginal line. So we'll see. Joe Kelly, Uncle Joe Kelly in there. Need a running game too, absolutely. We did say, Miles Sanders came back strong last week, 90 yards and a touchdown. So we'll see. I think the Eagles will definitely have a run-focused offense today with the lack of defensive pressure on the defensive line. They're also without their best D lineman, Geno Atkins. He's out as well. So, definitely look to get that running game going, and ultimately that opens up your play action and your passing game. So, one hand, pats the other, or shakes the other, whatever the terminology is for that. So we'll look to see if we can come out with a strong start. Give me a strong start. Give me a strong 60. Give me a strong 60 minutes today. That's what I want to see. This is a team that you should be able to handle. You should be able to take down, and that's exactly what we need today to get us on the right track. So we'll see that, absolutely. Ball control. I do not want to see us putting the ball on the ground today. I don't want to see Carson throwing interceptions. And, hey, maybe defense can even get themselves a turnover today. We've really been lacking that in the last couple of years. We have, and I talked about this in the podcast last week. I mean, we don't have difference makers on defense that are not only just making good, solid plays, but ones that are actually, ball hawks. Give me a ball hawk. Somebody go and pick off a ball. Somebody go and rip a ball out of some guy's arm. Cause a fumble. Do something. That's what I want to see today. So let me know in the comments. What's your prediction for the day? We'll try to be back during halftime. If not halftime live, then you will see the full post-game recap on the Eagles Nest podcast. Make sure you subscribe today to the podcast on all platforms, as well as on YouTube and all social media. So we'll see you later. Go Birds. All right, Birds fans, Sean here at the half as our Philadelphia Eagles lead the Cincinnati Bengals with a 13-10 score here at the half. Like I said, real up and down first half in terms of the way that the offense played. Really not much there until that touchdown drive there with just a minute left, just under a minute left. Really nice drive. He started off with a 19-yard run by Sanders there that really brought got the momentum going, got him downfield quick. Burnett coming in playing, nice 11-yard catches there as well, and then Hightower getting one before Carson sacked fumble. We're going to talk about Peters later on in the game, in the post-game show, but there again, really letting up another sack that almost cost them, but coming down with a 29-yard strike to Greg Ward with the go-ahead score there. Defense is playing very well, aside from that 2-minute drill touchdown that they scored there right before that as well. But they've been doing a good job, and you saw that last sack there by Brandon Graham to close the half out. 3 sacks are really getting some pretty good pressure on Joe Burrow. I don't think that Burrow's done anything outstanding in this game aside from that one touchdown drive, and also aided by Jalen Mills with that pass interference there. We'll talk about him later on as well. But really for the most part, it's been a defensive struggle outside of those last 2 drives, which amounted to touchdowns for both teams. But I really do like the way that the defense is playing overall, aside from Nate Gary and Jalen Mills. Like I said, Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett, and Brandon Graham all getting sacks. Malik Jackson almost took Joe Burrow's head off. He got flagged for it, but I thought that was a legal hit. It was shoulder to shoulder. He just really popped him, maybe a little bit late, but he laid a good lick on him there. So I think in terms of defense, the Eagles just need to keep doing what they're doing. Maybe get Nate Gary out of the game and out of the league forever, because that guy, if he just played with 10 people on the field and didn't have him in there, you'd get the same result pretty much every time. But just keep doing what they're doing. Keep getting home. Get more pressure on Joe Burrow. Like I said in the pregame show, just keep getting him rattled. You know, he's gaining some confidence with those throws there in that last scoring drive. But you know, you don't want to let him be comfortable and confident back there. You need to get him off their game. In terms of what the Eagles need to do on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, I want to see more of that 1 minute drive there. Keep doing that. And we really got to limit the pressure that's going to Wentz. I mean, say he's holding the ball maybe a second too long or what you will, but Jason Peters is getting his ass handed to him today. So we really need to get some help over that side. And I think when we have gone tempo, that's really worked as well. We've seen that in a couple drives here during the first half. So, keep it going there. Just a note, Dallas Goedert did go out with an ankle injury. We haven't seen him back as far as I know. I'm not sure. I know he's listed as questionable for a return, but we'll see if he does come back. And the only other thing I can say about the offense is keep feeding Miles Sanders. I don't have his exact stats in front of me right now, but the dude is having a day, and especially when the backups, when they're getting in there, aren't doing jack. So get Sanders the ball. I want to see him start getting out in the screen game as well. Really start accounting for him. But, you know, defense keeps doing its job the way that they have been, and, you know, we can maybe put another score on the board, maybe two, feel comfortable. That'll go a long way, and we should seal up this victory. But, yeah, up and down first half. I want to know what you guys thought. Leave your thoughts in the comments here as we get ready to start the second half, and we'll see you in the post-game show for the podcast. Go Birds. What's up, Birds fans? We have come to the conclusion of today's Philadelphia Eagles versus Cincinnati Bengals football game. Yeah, the scoreboard is right. Your eyes do not deceive you. 23-23 final score as the Eagles tie the Bengals. The last time that happened was when Donovan McNabb was starting his career and didn't know that the game could possibly end in a tie. So things have really come full circle here. So we're going to get into some of the highs, some of the lows. We're going to call some people out today. I'm kind of honestly flabbergasted and dumbfounded. Normally I have some prepared thoughts coming fresh into it, at least for the top. I honestly don't know where I'm going to start today. If you're with me for either pregame or halftime, you know what we talked about heading in, and then at the break, we liked how the offense was finally starting to show some signs of life. As Carson Wentz got the Eagles a nice little lead. Well, not a little lead. Heading into halftime, we were at 13-10. Things were really turning around there, seemed to turn in our favor. And then the Bengals seemingly made some incredible halftime adjustments, both on offense and defense. Both sides of the ball for us seemed to not be able to do much of anything. Joe Burrow started really torching our defense. I think the defense just totally gave up for the third quarter. They didn't start playing well again until the fourth quarter. They all day. I mean, they have 8 sacks today. Your defense gets 8 sacks, you should probably win the football game. Your defense gets 8 sacks, you should probably also be creating turnovers as well, which is something that didn't happen and really hasn't happened at all this year, but I digress on that. But like I said, you get 8 sacks on a quarterback, you're probably dominating that game. Unfortunately, that wasn't really the case here today. There are a lot of fingers to be pointed, a lot of people to be blamed. Let's not that we're blaming the injury bug, but we can start there. I mean, you had Slay go out for a while. Vontae Maddox is out. So at one point, I mean, your healthy corners or practice squad guys. Yeah, Trevor Williams is in there, and Roby Coleman's playing, Crayvon LeBlanc, and not your starting guys. Which, Burrow was starting to just sit back and pick those guys apart when the defensive line really wasn't doing much for that stretch of the whole third quarter there. So that's how the Bengals were really able to make it a game. Joe Burrow didn't really wow you all that much in the first half. He had that nice 2-minute drive at the end of the half to score the touchdown, and then he really started lighting it up in that third quarter. And the offense didn't really do much to answer until late in the game as well. I mean, there was just nothing really going in the pass game for the majority of the day. Carson had we'll say he had a pretty bad game overall. Some things you can put on some other guys, but he'll take the large brunt of it today. More turnovers. Yeah, he's leading the league in interceptions at this point. At one point, I was texting with my friends in our group chat, and I was ready to be benched. I was ready to have him benched. I honestly was. The play that I was seeing from him, the level of play, it was poor. I understand that you're running out there. Deshaun Jackson went out, and you're down to Arcega-Whiteside, practice squad Deontay Burnett, practice squad Greg Ward, and a rookie John Hightower. You're down Dallas Goedert as well. So I mean, we're having the same issues that were around all last season. Coming back up again here. But at the same time, that doesn't excuse him for being inaccurate. That doesn't excuse him for making bad decisions. That doesn't excuse him for holding onto the ball too long, which you could see at times. There were plenty of circumstances where he did get rid of the ball. He was moving. He was very, very mobile today, which was a positive. I don't think the Eagles would have gotten anywhere without Carson's legs today, because they certainly weren't getting it done through the air. And we're going to get into the roster here as well, but it's just you really just can't put a finger on exactly what's wrong here. It's just everything. The entire offense, and you look at Miles Sanders going over 100 yards again. Like I said in the pregame, he was poised for a big day with Cincinnati's run defense, and for the better part of the game, he had his way with them. Over 100 yards. That's great. You get nothing from your two backup running backs. I'm sorry, Boston Scott and Corey Clement. They don't get it done. They can't come in and spell Miles Sanders. I don't know why you brought in Devontae Freeman for a workout. He's a free agent. You passed on him. I don't know why you just don't bite the bullet and bring somebody in who's going to be at least semi-reliable. I mean, yeah, Boston Scott can catch some balls out of the backfield, but yeah, by and large, those two guys really didn't and don't contribute much to this team, at least anymore. Bringing Corey Clement back again, it's just more of Howie going back to the well and digging up old bodies and trying to reanimate them. Doug's play calling, you are seeing that he is attempting to do some different things and open up the playbook a little bit more. I mean, we saw one misdirection that got snuffed out immediately. I think Hightower might have been on that one, and you saw the broadcast crew right on the replay too. They had power to that side, and two guys just let the lineman through untouched and snuff out that play. But you did have a lot of boots and rollouts with Carson. Like I said, he was very mobile today, which was good to see, and ultimately the reason why the Eagles didn't lose this game, didn't win it either. But that's still weird to say, isn't it? They didn't win, but they didn't lose. They tied. The old sports tie. They say it's like kissing your sister, right? Well, the Eagles just made out with their sister hardcore today for an extended period of time on national television as we were in overtime. So it was a very maddening, frustrating roller coaster type game. And when you see them towards the end of overtime mounting their comebacks and getting their chances and then just unable to cash in. And I'm sorry, I don't know what Doug's saying in his press conference about how they ended that game, not even attempting to at least kick a field goal or throw up a bomb. I mean, I really don't think at that point with the Bengals not having any timeouts either, I don't think there was any harm that really could have been done there. Even if you don't get it field position wise, you have time for one play, and they're out of field goal range too. So you got to question his want to win. Riverboat Doug, he's always going for it on fourth down. He's gone for it in fourth and longer than what that was. What was it, 4th and 7? And they just let the game. They just let the game end. They were okay for a tie. And I feel like that's kind of a metaphor, in a sense, for how the Eagles as an organization have been and are currently operating under Howie's GM tenure here. Obviously, you know, we can never take away winning the Super Bowl a couple years ago. But you look at everything that Howie's done outside of that, and it's just not good enough. It's marginal. It's middle of the road. You know, it's just like we have just enough, and it's getting harder and harder to say that anymore. Just enough to get by, but obviously we're no longer getting by. But you look at I feel like I'm going to be citing this every week. You look at the drafts over the last couple years and the guys that we're passing on and who are going on to do really great things, and here we are left with the J.J. Arcega-Whitesides of the world, who can't get snaps over other rookies and practice squad players. I'm sorry, this is your second year. You're a second-round pick. You are a complete and utter failure, waste of roster spot, waste of salary cap space. Arguably one of the worst draft picks of Howie's tenure. I don't know how else to say it. Can you imagine if we had DK Metcalf on this team, what he's doing in the league? I saw a headline from ESPN the other day, paraphrasing, yeah, the rest of the league should be afraid of DK Metcalf, something like that. Can you imagine if the rest of the league was scared of one of our wide receivers? Could you imagine how much more respect we would get? Can you imagine how much differently our offense would flow if our second round draft picks aren't getting passed over in favor of a practice squad guy named Deontay Burnett? Can you imagine if we had a solid, legit number one receiver that's not 30 plus years old and is on a pitch count and still gets hurt anyway? It's ridiculous. To end that game, your healthy wide receivers were Whiteside, Deontay Burnett, Greg Ward, and John Hightower. Rookies and practice squad guys. I understand Carson holding the ball for a longer amount of time that he should, but at the same time, when you have these guys who shouldn't be on the field and who wouldn't be on the field for any other team in the league, and you know they're not running their routes right, you know they're not looking back for the ball, you know they're not playing the way that they should be, and yeah, that's on them, and part of it's on Carson as the leader of the team. But when you have that kind of a combination, you're not going to be successful. I don't care if you're Tom Brady, Drew Brees, or anybody else. When you don't have any kind of relationship or confidence or trust in your receiving group, there's no way that you're ever going to be successful. And you can change the quarterback if you want, and you're probably going to get more of the same result with the group that we're throwing out there each and every week. And it's getting worse with injuries. Again, we can't get away from the injury bug. Deshaun, I think he went out with a hamstring today. I don't get it. How great would DeAndre Hopkins have looked in this on this team? Going after a guy named like Allen Robinson, even, that we talked about last week. Could have traded for Stephon Diggs, things like that just Howie just doesn't do. He's this self-proclaimed cap genius that is just gonna push back money, defer money on contracts down the line so you can lock up these guys, so you're supposed to be able to bring in other pieces that are gonna fit in well, and those spaces are filled with guys that shouldn't be playing. You look at your corners, when Slay went out and Maddox was down for the game, guys off the street. You can't win with the Epses of the world. Crevon LeBlanc, he's a fan favorite, but he does nothing, and he did more harm today than he did good. He took a penalty and he made some bad plays and he's out of position. If Nate Gary isn't cut in the next 5 minutes, I'm just giving up on this season. Sorry, as I take a little swig. I'm so dejected by the fact that we didn't lose this game, that I resorted to hard liquor right now. I got a nice Jack Tennessee Honey and Cream Soda going. So if you're a drinker, check it out. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. Carson, 29 for 47, 225, the 2 picks and the 1 touchdown. Beautiful touchdown pass to Greg Ward. Really read the defense well and hit an open receiver. But again, a lot of the same mistakes, holding on to the ball, bad decision making. 9 rushing attempts for 65 yards on the TD. He didn't really do it through the air today. He kind of padded the stats a little bit with overtime just to get to 225. Like we said, Miles Sanders had a nice day, 18 for 95. And he went over the 100-yard mark combined with his receiving yards as well. But you look at the rushing. Corey Clement, 3 for 8. Boston Scott, 3 for 5. You can't win that way. Jalen Hurts got in there. He had 2 rushes. We're still not seeing a full gamut of plays for Jalen Hurts, and I feel like if Carson keeps playing the way that he is, you're going to start seeing him mixed in and sprinkled in a little bit more. I mean, you might get to the point where he's starting to get entire series, and if that starts happening, I mean, it's not going to be long until he's completely starting games. Like I said, I was really at the point where I was ready to sit Carson down the way that he was playing there in the fourth quarter, and not that he ultimately came through in overtime either to seal it, but I think he did just enough for me to give him one more week. I'll give him next week. You got the Niners, a beat up Niners team, lots of injuries there as well. We can certainly attest to that. I'm gonna give him one more. That's really all I can do at this point. I said it last week. It's getting harder and harder to defend him with the same mistakes over and over again. Now he added a new dimension today, taking off and being as mobile as he was, and you're seeing a lot of this escape artist play from a couple years ago, getting out of tight spots and still making plays. But ultimately, when you can't be accurate on your not only your deep throws, which are 50-50 balls in itself, but when you can't have your intermediate game going, that's going to hurt. So I'm giving him one more. I don't know what else to do, and at this point, it'll be an experiment to see if another quarterback can come in and work with this group as well. You may have Alshon coming back next week. There's a small possibility, but coming off of the injury that he's going to be even less of what he was last year, and what he was last year was less of what he was the year before and the year before. So he's essentially going to be another tight end out there. So I'm not expecting a whole hell of a lot from him, but my God, we just have nothing to work with. So at a certain point, bring in Jalen Hurts and let him throw it around, or put Sudfeld in there. I don't know. Call up McCown from his couch in Texas. Bring him up here. Let anybody else see if it's just Carson can't play anymore, if he just doesn't have it, or if it's the receivers or a combination. I really don't know. I'm giving him one more week, like I said. It's just astonishing to see where we currently are as compared to where we were 3 years ago, with such high highs, and now you can't get much lower. I mean, you tie. I would have rather lost that game, honestly, than tie that game. It does nothing for you, and in this, especially in this division, I mean, it's god awful. The Giants lost 36-9 today against the Niners, who are missing so many people. It's just crazy. You should be able to take a nap and get back into this thing and be okay. So I'll be looking forward to the pressers that we're hearing this week, and I'll have to go back and watch post-game interviews as well to see what Doug and Carson and some of the guys are saying and thinking and expressing. But you look at these midweek press conferences, Doug speaking, and you can call it throwing Carson under the bus or not. I mean, you saw how Jim Schwartz reacted last week after really taking the entirety of the blame for the defensive performance last week. And Doug doesn't seem to do that. He more or less is kind of putting the blame on Carson and things like that. So, we can keep getting into these conversations where I believe that Doug and Carson are not going to be able to work together. And I think by year's end, if Carson's still starting as the starting quarterback and we're not winning games, it's going to be a real toss-up. I mean, if he's still starting and we're not winning games and they finish out the year without any kind of changes, I think it could be Doug that might get the nod to move on. But if you see Carson get benched at any point this year, you got to believe that they're going to be looking to get out of his contract, either via trade or just looking to move on from him in general. I don't know. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to have the front runner for the MVP just a few years ago and see, how he's digressed and devolved. And I don't know. Is it his fault? Is it roster buildup? Is it coaching? We honestly may never know, but it's very apparent that Doug has given up on Carson. I don't think he has anything left to kind of teach him or try to help him with. I think this marriage is heading for a quick divorce. So, yeah, more weeks like this are probably ahead. And yeah, like I said, you got the Niners next week. Who knows if Jimmy G will be back? Bosa's done for the year. We don't know if Mostert will be back. So, yeah, I guess if you're playing a team like that and you can't beat them up, you probably don't really deserve to beat anybody. If you can't beat an 0-2 Bengals team, I don't know what else there really is to say. Just real disappointing all around. Yeah, I want to hear from you guys. This isn't going to be a very lengthy episode just because I feel like I'm going to be just rehashing the same things. I could go drive by drive and tell you every big play that happened or every note that I took. But it's meaningless. It makes no difference because here we are 3 weeks in and we are 0-2-1. Interestingly, the last time we tied a football game was 1999 against these very same Cincinnati Bengals when Donovan McNabb famously did not know that you could end a game in a tie. So with that, I leave it to you. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment sections, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at the Eagles Nest. Make sure you subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms as well as our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to send in some questions for me to answer live on the show, feel free to do that at theeaglesnest@gmail.com. Eagles, Niners next week. We'll see if if we can do anything to really prepare or get ready for that one. The enthusiasm is way down. Sports Talk Radio in the city should be fun this week, so we'll listen for that. Until next time, I'm Sean Harrigan, host of the Eagles Nest podcast. Go Birds.